My name is Lena, and I'm part of the SIFPAC team. Welcome to day one of the 2025 Supplier Development Summit hosted by the Good Food Purchasing Initiative team. Together with our partners, we're looking to make Chicagoland's food more equitable and sustainable, centered on food that is local, sustainable, fair, humane, and nutritious. That means shifting how institutions buy food through the Good Purchasing Food Program, while also uplifting suppliers with resources and gatherings like this summit. Thank you so much for joining Advocacy for Food Supply Chain Workers, featuring Alexandra Sosa, who is the CEO of the Farm Worker and Landscaper Advocacy Project. And for those who have accessibility needs, I'll put something in the chat for accessibility, and we'll also ask everyone to introduce themselves in the chat. So, Alexandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I want to start to thank for the opportunity to raise the voice of our community who is putting the food on our tables, and as you are aware, have been under attack in these days. And so I always thank people who are interested in talking about these issues and learning how you can help and how you can support our community. So my name is Alexandra Sosa. I'm the Chief Executive Officer with the Farm Worker and Landscaper Advocacy Project. I'm originally from Medellin, Colombia, very proud Latina. I joined the Farm Worker and Landscaper Advocacy Project, FLAP, back in summer 2001. And the reason because I did is because I saw the need to help our community who were not given enough opportunities because they didn't speak English or because immigration status. And then I realized that I need to learn English to help my community and empower my community. My dad was an attorney in Colombia, and he was always fighting for farm worker rights. Unfortunately, he was murdered in Colombia. And then I wanted to continue with his legacy, and it's how I found FLAP back in summer 2001. So the Farm Worker and Landscaper Advocacy Project was initially called FAP, Farm Worker Advocacy Project. And the mission of the organization is to improve working conditions and opportunities for low-wage workers in the food supply chain. Later on, when I became the executive director of the organization back in 2011, we add to the name of the organization Landscapers. And the reason is because most of the farm workers, to be able to sustain their families, they don't make enough money. So they have to join other jobs and have other jobs during winter and in fall and the beginning of spring. So they become landscapers, so they become like snow removal workers. And that's why we add those industries to the mission of the organization. Right now, we are focusing on those who provide the food, who are meat packers, who are farm workers, who are restaurant workers, who work in greenhouse, who do the snow removal for the cities and the places that we enjoy every day. And the organization is run by a staff who is coming from the community that we are serving. So we all are immigrants, first generations or second generation, and then our parents are also immigrants who came to this country looking for the American dream that is no different than having a house and providing food for our families and having the opportunity to give our children and our families education and have a place that is safe where to live. So we hire from the same community that we are serving. So our staff used to work in restaurants and used to work in meat packers, used to be driving, delivering food all around the state of Illinois. We are based in Chicago, but we cover the whole state. And we also have a community navigator program. Under this community navigator program, what we are doing is hiring community navigators that go around the state and deliver information, deliver flyers, with FLAP contact information, with the goal that those communities will know what information and what resources are available to them in the community. Because it's ironic that those who put the food on our table, they don't have enough food to eat. They sometimes, many times, they don't even have food to provide for their children. So it's our mission to make sure they know where are the food banks, where are the stores, where are the places that they can go and the resources they can use to be able to succeed in the community. And the programs of FLAP are advocacy, community outreach and education, community legal education and legal services, information and referrals. We have an entrepreneur project. We fight aggressively human labor and human sex trafficking. We help families to get the dual citizenship for their children as a way to avoid family separations. Under advocacy, the staff and myself, we travel, we go to Washington, we go to Springfield and advocate for better working conditions. In Illinois, farm workers are not allowed to be paid for overtime, what makes very difficult for the workers to even sustain their families. We are talking about a family who can make a year $15,000, $20,000 a year, and it's hard to sustain families under those conditions. We also do advocacy, distributing community outreach and education all over the state, informing our community what their rights are and where to go in case they need help. We have a very strong partnership with the Mexican consulate, the Guatemalan consulate, the Colombian consulate, Salvadoran consulate, Ecuadorian consulate, and in general with the Latin consulates to provide this information. And we send staff every day to those consulates where they can do no juris presentations and make sure that our workers are getting the information that they need. Like this week, for example, we have a community navigator in Moline, Illinois, and it's a rural area in central Illinois, and he's there delivering information and reaching out specifically to farm workers. Under the community outreach and education and community legal education and legal services, what we do is that we focus on employment law. And under employment law, we make sure that the workers are getting paid for overtime, minimum wage if they are allowed to. As I said, farm workers are not allowed to be paid for overtime, but landscapers are allowed to be paid for overtime. Same with meat packers, restaurant workers. We make sure that they are not getting illegal deductions for uniforms and tools that they are using. Sometimes they do have to pay for the use of the tools that they use at work, like uniforms and a knife, for example, they're using at meat packers, meat packing companies. So we make sure that that's not a violation of the law. We also make sure that they are not discriminated at work. We have several cases where a woman is pregnant and then she's fired because she's pregnant, or because of somebody is over 60 years old or over 40 years old or 50 years old, and now they think that it's too old to do the work, and that's obviously discrimination, or because of the religion or because of the gender. And many of them, they don't even speak English, so they are not provided the tools and the equipment necessary to do the work. So we try to make sure that they have safe working conditions at their jobs. And then if they get injury at work, they get the legal services that they deserve, and then the insurance company cover for the medical assistance for those workers. Under information and referrals, we partner those workers with other organizations and farmers who are looking, for example, to hire workers, or organizations who are looking to hire workers, or business who are looking to hire workers. So we try to refer people to places where they can find better jobs and are better paid jobs. And the referral is as simple as immigrants coming to the state of Illinois and to this country, and they don't know where to go and find, for example, a public library, or where to go to get an ID to enter a federal building or to open a bank account. So we connect workers with those information and referrals that are available in the community. The organization has an entrepreneur project, and under this entrepreneur project, we empower those who would like to become business owners. And if, for example, there is a piece of land that they identify and they would like to buy, we try to facilitate the process and connect them with different foundations that will provide the money for these workers to become entrepreneurs. And we also provide laptops and financial assistance. The laptops are provided to the youth and the children with the goal that they can do the homework from home and e-learning, and they are not behind on school. And for the youth who are just entering to the workforce, we provide those laptops with the goal that they can find jobs that other ways they are not going to be able to find because it's only online. And sometimes their families, they can even provide a laptop because they don't have the resources to do it. And for a family, it's hard to choose between buy a laptop that is $500 or provide the food, putting the food on the table. Of course, they have to choose providing the food, they have to choose pay the rent. So we are trying to put away that barrier and give the tools to our children and our youth to be able to succeed as other communities are succeeding. And also, we do our best to keep youth far away from human labor trafficking and sex trafficking, educating the community what their rights are. Unfortunately, some people are brought to the country under the H-2A visa program that is specifically for agricultural workers. And once they are here, they are taking away their passports and they become human labor trafficking and sex trafficking. Or once they are here, they sign a contract and the contract doesn't, the contract says one thing, but once they're here, it's a different thing. So what was promised to these people is no what they are getting in exchange. So we are just right there watching those specific cases. Unfortunately, you all know that Chicago, Illinois is under attack, and our community is suffering all the consequences of what is happening right now in our state. So as a way to keep families together, and in case of parents that deported, what we are doing is facilitating the dual citizenship for the children who were born in the United States. And because they were born in the United States, they can also apply to get the dual citizenship from their parents, Colombian, Ecuadorian, Salvadorian, Mexican, Guatemalan consulates is our partners in getting the dual citizenship for these children. So if the family is going to be deported or the parents are going to be deported, and then the children have the dual citizenship, the parents can take the children with them. If they don't have the dual citizenship, it's a little difficult because going to the other country where the parents are going to be deported is a different administrative process they have to follow. So we are just trying to facilitate the process that the families stay together. Because if they separate the children from their parents, unfortunately, the American government, and specifically this administration, is not doing a good job keeping track where those children are sent, and they are placed in foster homes, and they don't keep track. So in the future, if they want to reunion with their parents, it's almost impossible because it's lost. The tracking is lost, so we don't know where those children are sent. FLAP and the community that FLAP is serving is under attack right now, and is under attack by ICE. For some reason I cannot make work. Okay, good. And unfortunately we are under attack now in Illinois. So FLAP was incorporated in February 8, 1999, in response to a 1996 congressional rule that says that if you are an organization that receives federal funding, you can't now provide legal services to undocumented workers. So that's why FLAP was incorporated, to focus on helping those undocumented workers. It turns out that right now, FLAP is a target for this new administration because the community that we are focusing are undocumented workers. So those undocumented workers have been deported, have been attacked by ICE without reasons. It's interesting that before the pandemic, this community of workers who are putting the food on our tables, our farm workers, were invisible. Nobody was talking about the farm workers. And when I was approaching funders, they even asked me, do we have farm workers in Illinois? They didn't even know that we have farms in Illinois. And some people were kind of asking me, like, but can you send us a map showing us where those farms are? And when I went to ask for funding, they were like, really, farm workers in Chicago? We don't have farm workers in Chicago. And then they don't realize, they don't really understand that there are no huge farms as in central Illinois, South Illinois, but there are farms in Chicago. And the food is not only coming from the farm workers and the farms, it's also coming from the meat packers, it's also coming from the restaurants. So it's this whole food supply chain from growing the food to the moment when the food is putting on your table. So right now, this whole community is under attack, and it's not only undocumented community, they are also deporting residents and citizenships, unfortunately. Yesterday, our chief consul went to bring her daughter to a daycare. And when he was getting to the daycare, he saw ICE all over the place. And ICE was deporting a Colombian teacher who works for the daycare. Her sister was showing there, the ICE was showing that she was documented, like here is her work permit, she's legal in this country. They didn't care at all. And they got into the daycare without any authorization, without any approval, and violating all the laws. And that is just one example of the trauma that our children are going right now, and the trauma our families are going right now, and our staff. Here at FLAP, every day I wake up thinking, like, how can I help with the trauma they are facing in the field? And foundations are very supportive and are providing spaces for retreats and heal circles. And I'm trying to be more creative and bring that support to the staff. But what is coming next year is unbelievable. I can see a lot of eviction cases coming up. I can see a lot of trauma, not only for our community, but also for our staff who is helping this community. And the eviction is coming because if they are taking all our landscapers who are on the streets, if you are afraid to go to work, if you are afraid to go to a restaurant, if you are afraid to go to a meat packer factory, you are afraid to go to the farms to produce the food that we have, then because ICE is there waiting for you, then you don't go to work, then you don't get paid. If you don't get paid, you cannot pay for rent. And then landlords do not have any option that start eviction process because they also rely on the rent that you pay to them. So the economy is a circle, everything is related. So we can envision that is what's happening and is coming up and is happening now. Besides the trauma that those children have to go through to see how their parents have been deported, and the teachers and members of the community who are good members. Because, as I said, before the pandemic, we were invisible. During the pandemic, we become essential workers. And now I don't know how this happens, we become criminals. So something that you can do, and maybe in a moment I can open the room for maybe give you an opportunity to tell us other ideas how you can help. But one thing that you can do is report ICE presence, and the phone number to do it is 855-435-7693. How this helps? This helps creating awareness in the community where ICE is. Unfortunately, now we have to hide in our offices, in our homes, and no enjoy the streets, no enjoy the parks, no go outside, because we are a target. So when ICE goes to your organizations, to your business, when you to your houses, or you know a worker who could be a target, just tell them, do not open the door, and you don't open the door, and you don't allow ICE to enter your property. Because if they go there, they're going to take your workers, they are going to take your community, they are going to deport your friends, your neighbors. So this is affecting all of us. It's not an isolated issue, because those workers move the economy. Those workers put the food that we have every day for our families. They produce the food and putting the food on our tables. And the do not open the door really works. I was invited to go to Sri Lanka to speak about food and at the Nayali Forum, and part of the North America delegation. When I was coming from Sri Lanka, and immediately I land and I start on my phone, the first phone call I received is from the Colombian consulate immigration attorney, who was desperate, didn't know what to do, with a woman from Colombia with 3 children hiding in a closet because ICE was just outside knocking the door and telling her, we are going to throw down the door. Open the door, because if you don't do it, we will put down the door. And all I did for an hour and a half is to be with this woman on the phone, telling her, like, don't open the door. You don't open the door. And let's see what happens if you open the door, and let's see what happens if you don't open the door. So probably they are going to deport your children, because it's what they wanted to do. They were looking for this 7 years old boy who is a criminal, according to that. So it turns out that when they submitted the immigration petition for this family, they wrote the wrong date of birth for these children. And then the mother became a legal permanent resident, and the other 2 children, but this little boy didn't. So now they wanted to deport the little kids. So we did an analysis of both scenarios. And I say, they put down the door, FLAP will pay for the door. It's okay. Probably the result is going to be the same. They're going to take your kid, but make it hard for them. Don't open the door. So we were so lucky that she didn't open the door, and they went away, and they didn't take the child. So sometimes it works. It totally works. I was with this family on the phone, and then there are 2 girls who were there, and they wanted to open the door. It's, it's little kids, and you knock the door, what do? You open the door. I want to open the door. And I was like, no, you don't want to open the door, because we are playing a game. And if you don't open the door, I'll buy you a Barbie. So don't open the door. They didn't open the door. I have to buy the Barbies, but we saved this family. So this do not open the door statement is powerful. It's working. Spread the word, join emergency response teams, and donate. Donate to organizations like FLAP, who are helping these communities. Donate to other organizations that are involved in the communities. We start a fund to help this teacher from Colombia who was took by ICE yesterday at the daycare. And we hire Kalman and Resnick, who is an immigration attorney, and we are now helping this family to see how we can support, because his families are people who are heads of the families and households, and they provide for their families too. So and I wanna open the door for some questions that you may have, or some comments about this presentation. So, or something you wanna say, or something you wanna, I don't know, comment, curious. Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Thank you so much for all the work that you and your team does, especially in this moment that we find ourselves in. Um, this is more of like a bureaucratic question, but how do you have a strong relationship with the city's Office of Labor Standards or the Illinois Department of Labor? Are they responsive? Do they actually have much power? Or are those sort of dead ends that like don't really go anywhere and they're not really, I don't know, they're not really a solutions focused option. And so really informing folks directly of their rights, that is like much more effective than trying to go after bad actors. So just curious what that relationship is like.
Yeah, no, Adam, we have a very good relationship with all the state agencies, like Illinois Department of Labor, at the federal level, at the state level, Illinois Equal Justice, Illinois Equal Opportunity Commission, and all OSHA, all these organizations that we partner with. Regarding employment violations, when a case is that small that it's not possible to take the defendant to court at the state level or the federal level, then it's when we partner with the Department of Labor. We try first to send a demand letter to the company and see maybe they can work with us, and no, because our intention is not really to take business to court, and it's not really to put down the business out of the industry, out of service, It's more like, be aware that the workers have rights, and please help us, join us in this mission to make sure that the workers are successful, and that they need to be paid to be able to provide for their families. But that's impossible because the companies are really not paying attention to us, and then filing a complaint will do more damage than partnering with the Department of Labor. Is when we will refer the case to them, and they are receptive and they investigate those cases. So it will be impossible for us to cover the huge demand we have in the whole state. So that's why we have to partner with other law firms, other legal aid organizations, and of course with the Department of Labor. We also have partnership with the OSHA to make sure that the working conditions are safe. It's complicated because they are federal and state agencies, and sometimes to call their attention and to make sure that they are investigating the cases is hard, and especially now when a lot of those workers have been also laid off. So it's this administration is making very difficult everything that is related to worker rights. But we do have those partnerships, and I'm proud to say that the organization partners with about 550 organizations all over the country, and specifically in Illinois, to better serve our community. So in those 550 organizations that I'm mentioning, and also talking about federal and state agencies like Illinois Department of Labor and OSHA and all those organizations.
Thank you.
Of course, yeah. Go ahead, Catherine. Yeah.
Given the challenges that you're dealing with this administration, and a lot of pushback and attacks directly to or FLAP, you mentioned earlier that you guys do a lot of support in helping the youth and families gain dual citizenship. Have you seen or experienced a bit of like an expedited process just to in
Yeah.
recent months?
Yeah, Catherine, and I'm happy, as I mentioned, I'm here also with Maria and Sacha, and probably I'm going to pass maybe in a moment to them, and then they can explain a little bit the work that we do at the consulates also. But yes, these consulates have been expanding the process and helping open more appointments and helping those families to get the dual citizenship for the children as a way to keep the families together and not separate them. It's so important. We never realize how important it is to have the dual citizenship for our children. And I think we only realize how important it is in the moment when the deportations are happening. So the consulates have been very supportive also and helping with that. And Sacha, maybe you can explain a little bit how that dual citizenship works and the work that we do at the Mexican consulate and how we speak with the workers and tell them to get that for the children. Did you feel comfortable, Sacha? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So one of the parents has to be born in Mexico, so they need to present their birth certificate and other forms of ID. The children also need to do that. Um, and so they facilitate that process there. It's free. So all you have to do is make an appointment. There's several ways to do that. You can call, you can also go on their WhatsApp or go online. And the process, it's really quick. But one other thing that I do want to mention is that when people are taken to Broadview, they also, the consulate goes to Broadview and they facilitate that process there for people because it's very important to register your children if you're at risk of deportation so that you can take your children with you to Mexico. And how, I don't know if there's anything else you want to ask or if Maria Paula or Alexandra want to say.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sacha. And in a moment we can pass to Maria Paula to tell us about our work in the consulates. But you mentioned something important, Sacha, and is also that I forgot to say that another way you can help is telling your neighbors and your community to carry on an ID, and if they are in the process to become legal, or they are legal permanent residents, or they are under asylum or citizen, to carry on their documents, because they need to prove that they are not illegal in this country, that they have a immigration status. And sometimes people do not pay attention to that. And originally from Colombia, for me, it happens in my country all the time. Like, we have to carry on our ID all the time in our wallets, and the police can stop us and ask for our ID. So in our country, that's a normal thing. It happens. We are used to that since we are born. But here it's very intimidated. But it's important that our community know that it's an obligation, and if they don't have it, they can get in troubles. So, Maria Paula, can you talk a little bit about the work that we do with the consulates?
Yes, of course. So yes, we are in Mexican consulate, Colombian, Ecuadorian consulate, Salvadorian, Guatemala. And our job basically is give our community know your rights presentations. We talk about employment rights, immigration rights, and now and some, like, we have financial assistance too in many, like now we are giving our community a computer. Sometimes we provide all the gift cards, so we provide this information in our consulates. And yes, right now with the situation now in Chicago, so most of our community is scared, and so we try to tell them like doesn't matter his immigration status, they have human rights that we have, the state have to respect that. So basically they always come to us to say, hey, in my job, for example, somebody is doing sexual harassment with me, or somebody has didn't pay me the overtime, or look, right now I have deportation, order deportation. So we always try to help them in any way. So basically, this is our job there
Okay.
in the consulates.
Thanks, Maria. And FLAP belongs to the Illinois Access to Justice Coalition, and we belong to too many coalitions, but specifically with this coalition, is a coalition focusing in providing free legal services. So under this work, if FLAP cannot help in some regard, we have other organizations that we are partnered with, and we can refer them to the other organizations. And I'm remembering a situation I have to deal with just recently, and it's a boy who was doing farm work and landscaping work, and he cut his leg really bad. I think he lost his leg actually, and he was stuck to the hospital. So we were providing a legal assistance for this boy, and I show up there, and they deported. And the doctor was telling them like, you cannot take him out of the hospital right now. He can die in the process, and he needs medical assistance right now. They didn't care at all about that. So the situation that we are living right now is we don't really understand where are we going with this, because it's affecting our economy in a way that if all our workers have been deported, if our workers are not giving enough medical attention and they are not giving the resources they need to succeed in the community, my slogan has been always like, we are eating deportation, we are eating human labor trafficking, we are eating human sex trafficking, we are eating working violations, we are eating family separations, because we are what we eat. And if we do not protect those workers, then the food that is coming to our tables is just a result of deportations and cheap labor in the community. That's why when I proposed to speak about this, my intention was to highlight how it's important to advocate for our workers who produce the food, who brings the food to our tables, and also asking for your help to tell everybody that we are not criminals, that we are very hardworking people, and we are immigrants that came to this country looking for better opportunities that we didn't have in our home country. And it's not necessarily looking for better payments or looking for money. Sometimes we are coming here looking for the opportunity to go to school, looking for the opportunity to send our children to school, looking for the opportunity to have a house where to live in peace, because in our home countries, we don't have that. And then, of course, looking for a better jobs. But the result or the goal to have a better job is always to have enough money to provide for our families and feed our families and succeed in the community. So what is happening now is really devastated. And it's a crisis similarly to the pandemic. But at least during the pandemic, we could stay at home and we knew we were safe at home. But now we don't know if ICE is going to our houses. We don't know if ICE is going to take our children from our houses. We don't know if ICE is going to put down a door and take us, even we are citizens, residents, in process of getting our work permit and the asylum. Even we are good citizens working and moving the economy of the United States. Yeah, I wanted to know maybe there are other more questions or comments.
I have a comment. My name is Rachel. So hi, Alexandra and
Rachel.
Sasha. Long time no see, but I just woke up. You're not gonna see what I look like. But yeah, thank you for
Oh, we
sharing.
want to see Rachel.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I've been working with One Fair Wage, which advocates for restaurant workers, and I recently attended the OSHA conference. And this is something that we were talking about, like, how can we protect, our community with what's currently happening, and that giving people the tools to like have training, education, but then also showing people what to do when this happens. And so going to the restaurants and explaining, like, this is private property, this is they're not allowed to come in here. And so like, this is like what you physically do, like lock the doors or they can't come in, or so what forth. And during the OSHA conference, which I think with Jobs with Justice mentioned, I don't know, but they do, I think there's TikTok videos or like short videos that show that people essentially act out the situation. And so I just wanted to comment, like, this is like what I've learned and what members of like the One Fair Wage has been doing to combat that. So, but yeah, thank you for sharing, and it was great to see you guys.
No, Rachel, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us and also for making those important comments. And related to that, I don't think I follow an administration and a president more than I'm following this president that we have right now. Like, I actually wake up with him, sleep with him, have nightmares with him, and it's just like in my whole life, I'm just like watching this guy, like, what is he doing, what is he saying, like, what is the new order that he has, and I'm trying to understand one executive order, and now when I'm trying to use to that, a new one come up, and it's hard to keep track of that. Sachi, you can put in the chat our contact information, please. And yesterday, of course, because as I said, I sleep with him. It's just like part of my life now. It's more important than my mother or any other person. He was saying that all these videos that we are putting in social media, distributing, that those are fake videos and are made with intelligence and artificial like and I like what like he just basically said that we are making fake videos with AI, and like they are not fake. What happened yesterday when our attorney went to take her kid to the home care, that's not fake. That happens. It's real. They were deporting the teacher in front of the children, and the children have to witness all this trauma, and they have to see how the teachers are deported, the parents are deported. They don't understand what is happening. And he has the nerve to say that. So it's so important, Rachel, as you said, that we document things, that we post things. And if they want to think that we are using AI to create those videos, I don't know, fine. The only option that we have is to push back and post a million videos in social media, because we have to resist. And if we are not united, and if we are not together, and if we don't back up each other, I don't know what's going to happen with this country. You see the results. An invitation to go to the grocery store and trying to buy with the same money that you have a year ago, the same things today. You can't. You can't. Everything is more expensive, and everything is more unhealthy. And we are not talking about organic food. We are not talking enough about worker rights, farm worker rights. We are not talking enough about healthy conditions for the farm worker rights. We are not talking enough about pesticides and how that affects our bodies when we are eating, but also how that affects the workers who are in the field producing the food. So more conversations like this, more panels to create awareness really helps. And unfortunately, we are not the majority, but we can make noise and we can make a difference. So thank you, Rachel. It's so important what you just said. Well,
And
any
I'd
other?
like to say one
Yeah.
more thing. Like, everyone, please share what we've talked about today. And, you know, I mean, I might be biased because, you know, I love FLAP, but like also donate to them. You know, that's like how we can support each other.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you so much. Um, we are getting a couple of emergency funding, and with that funding, we are starting with Lake County Community Foundation, and they are donating to the organization. And with that funding, we are going to start supporting our workers. It's unbelievable the attack that is happening now on Sheridan Road, for example, just to give one example, and how they are taking all those landscapers and deporting them and looking for people who are hardworking. I mean, how they go to the farms and take people who are growing the food and deporting our farm workers also. It's and targeting our children. Just have the nerve to tell me that, oh yes, we want to look for these children 7 years old because we are behind the criminals. I was like, what criminals? 7 years old is a kid, doesn't even understand what he's doing in this country or why he's in this country. So it's very upsetting, the whole situation. And the consequences, as I said, evictions are coming, trauma for our staff, trauma for the community to have to deal with these issues, but also increasing the prices of the food, no affordable food to have for our families. So it's not something that, oh, it's happening over there. No, it's affecting us. It's affecting our families, our people, our community, our workers, our staff, our organizations. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other comments? Or otherwise, Lina, and in your hands. Catherine, are you talking or is my impressing? No? Okay.
I had a quick question. I've heard like a lot of work that FLAP has done towards undocumented workers, but I want to ask for like migrant workers as well, who might have some sort of documentation that they're allowed to do farm work in the state of Illinois. How does FLAP support migrant workers now, especially who might be still very fearful of their status and just their presence in the state of Illinois?
Yeah, so those migrant workers are coming, many of them are coming with the H-2A visas that I was talking at the beginning of the presentation. So the H-2A visas are specifically for agricultural work. So what we are doing is, as I said, one of our community navigators is today in Moline, and Moline is in central Illinois and is full of farms around. So we are educating them and providing information and resources and making sure that if they need resources and information where to go and look for help, they are partnering with those attorneys and organizations, food banks that provide the resources that they need. With the migrant workers, one of our main focus always at the beginning of when we incorporated the organization and we start doing this work was to make sure that they know and they are aware of Head Start places where they can send the children to continue in education, because the migrant workers, they move around and they move a lot. And then it's hard for the children to keep going to school and be getting the education they deserve and they need to succeed in the future in the community. So we are also getting laptops, and right now we had a grant to distribute 200 laptops for children of migrant workers and meat packers and all those who are working in restaurants and who are in our food supply chain, with the goal that those children can do the homework and the e-learning distance, and also succeed and look for jobs that they can know, the youth that can know find other ways. So they have a laptop where they can get into, apply to universities and have those opportunities that other communities do not have. And of course, with the migrant workers, they are brought to this country, and unfortunately, the people who brought them to the country, they break the contracts that they have, then it's a case that FLAP will litigate and take to court. And those contracts could be that they are promised to be paid $15 per hour, and then once here they pay only $10. They're promised to have a nice house where to live, and then they are placed in a room with 10 people and one bathroom and not having enough water or drinking water. So all those violations, they are getting injuries at work, and then they are sent back to their home country and not pay for the expenses to go back, and they are not getting medical assistance. All those things are violations that FLAP is looking very closely. And it's very, very, very upsetting also, Dina, now that you talk about migrant workers, that we are not in favor about the H-2A visas at all, because we think that that's kind of like a slave model, where you bring people from other countries to work here, you pay minimum wage, even sometimes no minimum wage, they're not allowed to be paid for overtime, and then they never have the opportunity to retire. So they contribute to the Social Security benefits for all of us who are citizens and residents, can apply to unemployment, and they can't know. So we are not really in favor of that model. We think that's abusing our workforce.
I have one other question.
Sure.
First, I think the estimate for what goes into Social Security that's not dispersed to those individuals is roughly $25 billion a year that they're contributing and not able to access, which is just considered a revenue source for Social Security and is intentional. I'm curious if local worker unions have been like stepping up at all, whether at Unite Here or if there's any food worker or commercial worker unions that are maybe more active in the space right now as a response to the current administration, or if that's an area that like we should be trying to cultivate more.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think working with the unions is important. And as I said, we have to partner with everybody at this point, because if we are not united and we don't become strong coalitions where unions are representing workers' rights, are representing organizations who are representing those workers, are not sitting on the same table talking and creating a strong plan, it will be the end for us. So we really need that. But regarding those the work that we try to do with those workers and the unions, as I said at the beginning, farm workers in Illinois are not allowed to be paid for overtime. So it's something that Sacha and the organization, but specifically Sacha, who is our advocacy person of the organization, advocacy specialist, is trying to create awareness of there are other states who pay overtime to the farm workers, and it will be important that Illinois become one of those states. What happened is that last year when we were getting ready and have all this energy to start working on this and looking for unions and other organizations that we can partner with to become strong, because this requires a lot of advocacy, a lot of resources. And when we are getting strong and having that, like, okay, we can do it, then January 20, this new administration starts, and then we are under attack. And then instead of focusing in passing this law to pay overtime for farm workers, we have to focus now in how can we protect them? How can we be sure they are not deported? How can we protect our organization? How can we protect our staff? Because now it's not only the workers, it's also organizations like FLAP, our target, and our staff. As I said, we are coming from the community that we are serving. Our staff used to be restaurant workers, and their parents work in bakeries and meat packers, and so we are coming from that community. We are also a target. So now our energy, our resources, our efforts is how can we protect ourselves? How can we empower ourselves to empower our community and protect our community? So that dream of getting paid overtime for the farm workers is put aside, because now the resources are focusing on how can we bring food to those who grow the food and they do not have food on their tables every day. What is very ironic. How can we prevent that people is going to be deported? How can we prevent that they are going to be evicted because they went to work and now one of the parents is deported, and it turns out that the parent was the one who was providing the food for the family, and now the parent is back to Mexico, to Colombia, to El Salvador, to Guatemala, or we don't even know where, because they also can deport people to wherever they want, not to their home country. How we can help this family here and make sure that they don't go hungry, make sure another issue, afraid to send their children to school because ICE is just right there waiting for them. Hey, so who can be brave enough to leave their houses in the middle of these terrified, dangerous situations? So I don't know if I answered your question, Adam, but
Yeah.
it's just a very big topic that one thing takes to another, and it's just trying to focus like how we can help our people, how we can support our people right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions or comments? Other ways, I think we can finish early. Lina, what do you think?
I just want to make a quick comment. This is Marisela from Estrada,
Hi, Maricela.
Centro de Trabajadores Unidos.
Sí, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias. So I just wanted to make a comment because we also work with immigrants in our organization, and you know, it's a crisis. It's a human crisis. It's a political crisis. Because like our immigrants too, that we also serve a lot of immigrants from different countries, but you know that all the political situation that's also happening in their country, it's going back to the country isn't going to make anything better for them or for anybody, for that matter, because we are losing workers here. We're losing hardworking people that, you know, like you mentioned, they work so hard every day, and all they want to do is just that, to have the opportunity to work and make some money. We're losing workers. They go back to their country, and there's a lot of violent situations happening. You know, one example right now is Mexico. I don't know if you guys follow what's happening there, but I saw a lot of our people that are being sent back to Mexico and now been torn away from their countries, from the country that they've known since some of these people have lived here since they're very young, you know, and they're torn away, sent to another country where there's a political and violent situation happening as well. I don't know if you guys heard about the assassination of Carlos Manso, who was a beloved mayor of the city in Michoacan, Uruapan, Michoacan, who was assassinated by the cartels who are in collaboration or in partnership with a lot of the government officials. And so now there's a huge protest. They've been protesting. They fear more violence. And Trump has even said that he will send in troops on the ground to be able to help out. I don't know if he really wants to help out, if he just wants to, just kill more people, because for some reason he just hates his Latino people and especially Mexican people for some reason. And so it's just a very, it's a very complex, a very complicated situation that is happening in a lot of the countries, Latin American countries. And it's just, I just think it's so heartbreaking. It's really sad that we are losing good workers, sending them back to their countries where there's also a lot of crazy violence and political violence situations that are happening that are not going to help either with their future or with their kids. Or so this just kind of like the picture right now. We're not a country anymore that is welcoming. Welcome. You're poor. You're tired. That's no longer the dream. For some reason, it's just like, where do we stand? Like we don't know where we stand anymore. As far as like the ones for us that I feel like I'm very grateful and lucky that I've been able to live in this country and grow up in this country. And at a time when we were welcome and that I was given the opportunity to apply for a visa and then become a citizen, right? But I just feel so bad for all of those people that just want the same opportunities, and that I know that work so hard and that they do not have that opportunity now. And like you said, where is this going to go? Where is this going to lead to? And how is this sustainable? We've been, working so much overtime hours that we don't even care at this point, because we just want to help people out. But how is this even sustainable for us? It's only less than a year that it's been a year that this administration has been in office, and we have 3 more years to this, and I don't know how this is going to be even sustainable at this point, because we are also suffering a lot of mental stress, and we're working to capacity or beyond our capacity, but we do it because we know that the help is needed, that we're needed out there.
Yeah, no, Marisela, thank you. My appreciation and my respect also for Centro de Trabajadores Unidos and Ana, and for your work. I know how hard you guys are working. Let me tell you something. I know you guys think that he's focusing on the Mexican community, but let me tell you that also in the Colombian community. I'm originally from Colombia, so that's why I can say these things. But our president is a president that is not sympathizing with this administration at all. And of course, there is this fight at the presidential level, and our president went to New York, and on the streets, he was asking ICE to not follow the directions of this administration. And President Trump got furious to the point that took away his visa, our President Petro visa. So if we are from Colombia, we are also targets because this conflict that is happening at the government level. And to be honest with you, what I think is that everybody who doesn't look like our president is a target, period. And if we have a brown skin, or we look kind of like indigenous or Latina, we are a target. That's no question about it. The other thing that you mentioned, Marisela, that I think is so important is how can they target our youth and our children when they are the future of this country? It doesn't make any sense at all that they want to deport children who were brought to this country when they were 6 months old, 1 year old. They don't even know they are undocumented. They don't know what is Mexico, what is Colombia, what is Venezuela, what is Argentina. They have no idea that this is their country and this is the language they speak, and here is where the community is, here is where their friends are. And he's like asking those children and those youth, go back to your country. We don't want you here. You are criminals. It doesn't make any sense to me. And also, it's a country that is going to be in the future. It's going to be people in their 40s and their 50s and their 60s. And we are not going to have people, like we are not going to have children and not going to have youth. That's what statistics and data are talking about it. So I think this administration should be taking care of the youth and the children who are the future of the country, but now it's out of the table. And another important topic that I think is important to say is the pesticides. Like applying those pesticides in the farms and targeting farms who are using migrant workers and who are hiring Latino workers and immigrant workers, and applying those pesticides without following any process because, oh, it's because the workers are immigrants. Oh, it's because the workers are migrant workers and are coming with a visa. They are not even citizens. They are not even legal permanent residents. That is a clear violation, first of the law, but second, human rights and worker rights. And we have to go beyond that and see more than that. Is when you go to those farms and you apply those pesticides, and then there is this woman who is pregnant, and then how do you expect to have a healthy child if this person is full of pesticides? And how are we expecting to be healthy when the food that we are eating is full of chemicals and pesticides and is coming from the hands of the workers who have been abused? So that's my point. That's what I wanted to raise during these presentations, and be clear that if we don't take care of our workers, who are the ones who are putting the food on our tables, and if we don't protect our community, we are in serious troubles. We are right now and will be in more serious troubles in the future. So thank you, Marisol.